The Texas heat slams into me like a physical blow when I step from the rental car. My body, accustomed to Seattle's gentle mist, protests with instant perspiration. 11 hours of travel for in the air, 7 on endless highways left me raw. But not as raw as what waits inside that familiar two-story brick colonial with its perfect flower beds and pristine American flag hanging limp in the June stillness. Scrub better, useless girl. Those spots won't come out by themselves. My mother's voice cuts through the front door before I even reach for the handle. The words stop me cold, my hand suspended in midair. A chill races up my spine despite the Texas sun beating down on my shoulders. I ease the door open, silent as I learn to be growing up in this house. The television blares cartoon music from the living room, punctuated by high-pitched giggles. The sound pulls my attention right, where my sister's twin daughters Madeline and Olivia sprawl across our family's plush sectional sofa, surrounded by scattered potato chips and half-empty juice boxes. I said use the scrubber, not your fingers. Honestly, how many times must I repeat myself? My gaze snaps left toward the kitchen. There stands my daughter Ivy, small shoulders rigid, perched on a wooden step stool at the sink. Her chestnut hair, the same shade as mine's, pulled back in a severe ponytail I didn't style. She scrubs at a casserole dish, her arms trembling with effort. At 6 years old, her head barely clears the counter even with the stool. My mother hovers behind her, arms crossed over her powder blue cardigan. Jocelyn's girls never make such a fuss about helping around the house. That's because you never ask them to help, I whisper, but only in my head, an old habit. The words I actually speak are neutral, calm. Mom, I'm here. She whirls, surprise flickering across her face before transforming into a smile that doesn't reach her eyes. Nerissa, we weren't expecting you until tomorrow. I caught an earlier flight. I step into the kitchen, taking in every detail. A stack of dishes towers beside my daughter. The twins' plastic plates sit on top, cartoon princesses smiling from behind smears of ketchup and ice cream. My father looks up from his newspaper at the table, glasses perched on the end of his nose. Your girl needs some discipline, Nerissa. No backbone. Been whimpering all morning about washing a few dishes. Ivy doesn't turn around when I enter. Her little fingers, red and wrinkled from hot water, continue scrubbing. Not once does she look over her shoulder. Not once does she call out, Mommy, or run for a hug after our 2-week separation. She expects nothing. And suddenly, I remember everything. The hesitation in my gut when Jocelyn insisted, Mom and Dad love having Ivy. The relief that flooded her face when I agreed to let my daughter stay while I returned to Seattle for the emergency at my practice. The whispered warnings from childhood friends that still live in Garland. Your parents treat those kids differently, Neri. Words I dismissed as exaggeration. Concerns I labeled as oversensitivity. My mother taps her finger against the counter. Ivy isn't like Jocelyn's girls. They know how to behave in a proper home. A proper home. The words echo in my ears as I watch my daughter's shoulders shake with the effort not to cry. She's learned already in just 2 weeks that tears aren't allowed, not from her. Through the archway, I see Madeline whisper something to Olivia. They both dissolve into giggles, pointing at the television where animated characters chase each other across the screen. Their dresses remain pristine, their hands clean, their responsibilities non-existent. My father clears his throat. Girl needs to learn her place. Too soft, just like... Enough. The single word drops like a stone into still water. The kitchen falls silent. My mother's eyebrows rise toward her immaculate hairline. My father's mouth snaps shut mid-sentence. Ivy doesn't turn around, doesn't stop scrubbing, doesn't react at all to my voice. That breaks me more than anything else. I cross the kitchen in 3 steps, gently placing my hand on her small shoulder. Ivy, honey, that's enough for today. She freezes, the sponge clutched in her fingers. But Grandma says I'm not done. You're done, I whisper, helping her down from the stool. Her socks are damp where dishwater splashed over the edge of the sink. How long has she been standing there? My mother's voice rises, indignant. Nerissa, really, she was just learning to contribute. Pack your things, sweetheart, I tell Ivy, ignoring the interruption. We're going home today. Nerissa Camden? My mother's voice sharpens to the tone that once sent me scurrying to obey. You can't just waltz in here and… I turn to face her, still holding Ivy's small hand in mine. The quiet certainty in my voice surprises even me. Watch me. Upstairs, I methodically fold Ivy's clothes into her suitcase while my parents hover in the doorway, my father muttering about disrespect and my mother insisting I'm overreacting. Neither approaches to help, neither apologizes. The twins peer around the corner of the hallway, curious but uncertain. Ivy stands beside her suitcase, watching me with solemn eyes. When I zip it closed, she whispers, I tried to be good like the twins, Mommy. Something inside me shatters. 20 minutes later, we're back in the rental car, Ivy buckled safely in the back seat, already drifting to sleep after the emotional morning. I pull to the curb 3 blocks away, my hands trembling as I dial the number. Garland Central Mortgage, a crisp voice answers. How may I help you? I watch my daughter's reflection in the rearview mirror, her face peaceful for the first time since I arrived. My voice steadies. This is Narissa Camden. I'd like information about terminating my financial obligation on my parents' mortgage. At the present, the Seattle rain patters against my apartment windows, a gentle rhythm so unlike the harsh Texas heat I left behind 3 days ago. Ivy sleeps soundly in her bedroom down the hall, her nightmares noticeably fewer since our hasty departure. I spread the bank statements across my kitchen table, the paper trail of my family's exploitation. February 2020. The first mortgage payment. $1,190 withdrawn automatically from my account, the same day Dad suffered his minor stroke. The same month Jocelyn finalized her divorce, sobbing about how she couldn't possibly help with family expenses while rebuilding her life. I trace my finger over the endless identical transactions. 52 months. Over $61,000. My name on the refinancing documents as co-signer when my parents couldn't qualify a loan. My phone buzzes with a text from Mom. Thank goodness we've always managed just fine on our own. The laugh that escapes me sounds foreign, sharp-edged and dangerous. Outside my window, Seattle continues its everyday rhythm while inside my chest, something fundamental shifts. I opened my banking app and canceled the automatic payment scheduled for tomorrow. My finger hovers over the confirmation button. 5 years of dutiful payments while they treated my daughter like a servant. I press confirm. The tension in my shoulders eases immediately, like putting down a weight I've carried so long I'd forgotten it wasn't part of me. My laptop screen glows as I draft the formal letter to the mortgage company and my parents. Clear, concise, final, no emotional language, just facts. The printer hums to life, spitting out 3 copies sewn for the bank, 1 for my records, 1 for my parents. Mommy? I turn to find Ivy in the doorway, clutching her stuffed rabbit. Her eyes are clearer now, less haunted than they were in Texas. What are you doing? She asks, padding across the kitchen in her mismatched pajamas. Fixing something that's been broken for a long time, sweet pea. I fold the letters into envelopes. Want some cocoa? She nods, climbing onto a chair while I heat milk on the stove. No instant powder real chocolate melted slowly. Time we deserved to take. Are Grandma and Grandpa still mad? Her small voice barely rises above the sound of the spoon against the pan. I measure my words carefully. They're confused about some things, about what family means. Like how the twins don't have to help. The chocolate seizes slightly as I stir too aggressively. Yes, like that. My phone rings 15 days later. The mortgage company has registered the missed payment. Mom's name flashes on the screen, right on schedule. There must be some mistake with the mortgage, she says instead of hello. Her voice carries that familiar note of certainty that has cowed me for decades. The bank says the payment is late. No mistake. My voice remains steady, professional, the same tone I use with difficult patients. I stopped paying. The silence stretches between Texas and Washington like a physical thing. But we thought you were helping us. Her voice breaks dramatically. Out of love. Love doesn't scream at a 6-year-old who just wants to belong. Another silence. I can almost hear her mental calculations, the recalibration from indignation to manipulation. We can discuss Ivy later. Right now, we need to know about the money. There it is, the mask slips, priorities revealed. The money is gone, I say simply. So is my obligation to fund the hierarchy. The call with Jocelyn comes 6 hours later, her voice sharp with fury. You're punishing all of us. My girls love that house. Your girls play, mine performs. I fold laundry as we talk, Ivy's small t-shirt smelling of fabric softener rather than dish soap. That's not love. That's a hierarchy. I'll make sure everyone knows what you've done, she threatens. The whole family will turn against you. The realization settles over me with strange comfort. Jocelyn, they were never on my side to begin with. I end the call and check the calendar where I've marked each day since stopping payment. Day 15. The bank will send a formal notice of default at day 45. Foreclosure proceedings begin by day 75. In my bedroom, I opened the spreadsheet my colleague Amanda helped create a legal timeline charting our freedom. My neighbor Barbara waves from her porch as Ivy heads to her house for after-school cookies. For the first time in years, I feel the weight of my family obligations falling away, replaced by something unfamiliar but welcome. Possibility. 30 days later, the certified letter from Garland Central Mortgage sits unopened on my kitchen counter for 3 hours before I find the courage to break its seal. Inside, stark black letters announce, Notice of Default across the top of the page. The formal language feels impersonal, yet I know exactly how my father's face will contort when he reads identical words delivered to the brick colonial I once called home. 45 days, I whisper to the empty kitchen. Seattle rain taps against the window in steady rhythm. In Texas, I imagine dust swirling across my mother's immaculate garden beds. The foreclosure clock has officially started ticking. My phone buzzes with a voicemail notification. Father. I press play and set it on speaker, bracing myself. You ungrateful, selfish. His voice trembles with rage. You're destroying this family. Your mother hasn't stopped crying. Is this what you wanted? To punish us all because you can't handle a little criticism? Call me back immediately. We raised you better than this. I delete the message without replying, then block his number. The action takes 3 seconds but lifts a weight I've carried for 32 years. Mommy? Ivy appears in the doorway, clutching her stuffed elephant. I had the bad dream again. Come here, sweetie. I open my arms and she rushes into them, her small body no longer rigid with tension. 3 weeks since leaving Texas, and the nightmares have already decreased from nightly to once a week. Her therapist calls this progress. Was I back at Grandma's house? She asks, her voice muffled against my shoulder. Just a dream, I assure her, stroking her hair. You're safe here. She pulls back, studying my face with eyes too old for 6. Are they still mad at us? The question slices through me. They're upset about adult things that have nothing to do with you. I touch her nose gently. Remember what Dr. Lin said? Their feelings are not your responsibility. She nods solemnly. But why does Aunt Jocelyn tell people you're crazy? My throat tightens. Of course Jocelyn would spin this narrative. Some people find it easier to blame others than look at themselves. My phone lights up with another call. Jocelyn, blocked. Then Aunt Margaret, blocked. Then Uncle David, blocked. They fall like dominoes throughout the afternoon. Family members who never called when I needed them, suddenly desperate to talk sense into me. My finger hovers over the block button when Aunt Patricia's name appears. Walter's sister. I hesitate, then answer. Nerissa? Patricia's voice sounds different from the other stentive rather than demanding. Hello, Aunt Patricia. I won't ask you to change your mind. She speaks quickly, as if afraid I'll hang up. I just wanted to say, I understand, more than you know. I sink onto the couch, unexpected tears pricking my eyes. You do? Walter did the same to me growing up. Her voice drops to a whisper. The favorites, the invisible ones, the family hierarchy. I left at 18 and never looked back. Understanding washes over me. Patricia, the aunt who sends birthday cards but never visits. The one my father dismisses as unstable despite her successful accounting career in Phoenix. How did you do it? I ask. Walk away completely? One day at a time. She pauses. The guilt fades. The peace doesn't. After we hang up, Amanda from my medical practice calls, insisting I join her for coffee tomorrow. Then Barbara next door stops by with dinner for Ivy and me. People I barely knew 6 months ago are now forming a protective circle around us. 72 days after my call to the bank, I sat alone at my laptop watching the online auction of my parents' home. The property appears on screen with its starting bid. Numbers climb steadily as a Dallas-based investment company outbids 3 local buyers. The virtual gavel falls, property sold. My phone explodes with messages I don't read. I imagine the frantic packing, the accusations, the blame shifting like quicksand through their household. Jocelyn's twins cry about leaving their princess bedroom with its bay window and custom paint. The moment I stopped paying, I tell my empty living room I already left in my mind. 2 weeks later, my mother sent a Christmas card with no return address. The family photo shows them standing stiffly in front of a plain apartment complex in Plano. The twins wear matching red dresses. My parents' smiles look brittle. The message inside reads simply, "Family doesn't evict family." I drop it into the shredder. The messages keep coming through channels I haven't blocked. You ruined them. You were never stable. After everything they did for you. Each barb is designed to pierce my resolve, to reactivate the guilt I've spent a lifetime cultivating. But only Grandma Hattie's simple text message cuts deep. Why, Narissa? She alone deserves an answer, but I have no words that would make sense to someone from her generation. How do I explain that love shouldn't require small shoulders to carry adult burdens? The doorbell rings. Another returned Christmas card, the third one I sent to my extended family, marked, "Return to sender" in angry red letters. I add it to the growing pile in my desk drawer. Evidence of doors closing all across my family tree. Ivy finds me staring at the pile that evening after her bath, hair still damp against her neck. Are we bad people now, Mommy? Her voice quavers just slightly. I pull her onto my lap, breathing in the clean scent of her shampoo. No, honey, we're just people who need a different kind of family. The kind that doesn't make me wash dishes until my hands hurt? Exactly. I kiss the top of her head. The kind that loves every part of you, not just the parts that are convenient. That night, after Ivy falls asleep, I compose a single text message to my mother. You lost the house, you lost the money, now you've lost access to us. I press send, then block her last remaining method of contact. An unexpected peace settles over me as I close the curtains against the Seattle night. From Ivy's room comes a sound I haven't heard in months, genuine laughter as she talks in her sleep. The sound solidified my decision to make our move to Seattle permanent. Some doors, once closed, should remain that way, not out of vengeance, but protection. In the quiet of my apartment, I finally understand the difference. At the present, the Seattle rain taps a gentle rhythm against our kitchen window, so different from the harsh Texas downpours that used to rattle the Colonial's gutters. Inside our compact rental, warmth permeates every corner, not from an expensive heating system, but from something my parents' perfect house never had: peace. Can I help with those, Mommy? Ivy stands beside me at the sink, her small voice no longer laced with fear. 3 months have passed since we fled Garland. 3 months of nightmares gradually fading, of shoulders relaxing, of voices finding their natural volume again. Sure, sweetheart. I slide the step stool toward her, not the rigid wooden one from my mother's kitchen, but a colorful plastic one decorated with underwater creatures Ivy selected herself. You wash, I'll dry? She nods, reaching for the sponge with confident fingers. Then something magical happens. She begins to hum. The simple tune floats through our modest kitchen, punctuated by the splash of water and clink of plates. My throat tightens. In my parents' house, children were to be silent while working. Noise indicated carelessness. Our rental sits on a tree-lined street in Ravenna, nothing like the sprawling Colonial we left behind. 1,000 square feet instead of 3,000. A postage stamp garden rather than manicured beds. But in this space, Ivy breathes. I breathe. Miss Barbara said I can bring a friend home tomorrow. Ivy scrubs a bowl with particular attention, her tongue poking between her teeth in concentration. Is that okay? Miss Barbara, retired teacher neighbor who watches Ivy after school, has become part of our small circle of trust. The woman who left a wicker basket on our doorstep our first week, sourdough bread, local honey, and a hand-drawn map of the neighborhood's best parks. Of course it's okay. I hang a dish towel on the rack. remembering my mother's voice. Proper homes don't display kitchen linens, Narissa. Which friend? Zoe. She draws horses. Ivy passes me the clean bowl, water dripping from her fingers. Can we clear space in my art room? Art room, not bedroom art room. The second bedroom in our small house explodes with color. Watercolors, pastels, modeling clay, and canvases leaning against every wall. No pink princess bedding like my mother insisted was proper for little girls. No strict corners or mandatory organization, just creation. Later, I tuck Ivy into bed beneath her constellation comforter. Her walls display her own artwork rather than the formal family portraits that hung in our old home. Tonight's masterpiece, a vibrant rendering of our house with two stick figures holding hands in the garden, joins the collection. Am I still going to special school? Ivy asks, fingers fidgeting with her blanket edge. Next week she starts at Evergreen Academy, a small private school specializing in emotional intelligence alongside academics. Cost, nearly a quarter of my monthly salary. Worth, incalculable. Yes, and guess what? Your art teacher called today. I smooth her hair from her forehead. She's excited to meet you. Ivy's smile illuminates the dim room. Will the kids be nice there? Very nice. I kiss her forehead. No more mean cousins. The words escape before I can catch them, but Ivy doesn't flinch. Instead, she nods with the solemn wisdom children sometimes possess. Madeline pulled my hair when no one was looking. Olivia said I had to share but never shared back. Truth, spoken without fear of repercussion. Another small victory. Morning brings paperwork grant applications spread across our kitchen table as I craft the foundation of Ivy and Bloom, our nonprofit for emotionally neglected children. No publicity, no grand announcements, just quiet service, art therapy, and mentorship programs. My phone buzzes with a notification from work. Director of nursing position, mine if I want it. The promotion I declined last year when balancing my parents' mortgage payments with our own expenses proved too tight. Ivy appears in the doorway clutching her latest creation, a family portrait. Unlike her earlier drawings of dark, angular houses, this one bursts with sunshine and round shapes. Two figures stand beneath a rainbow surrounded by flowers. This is for your office, Mommy. I hold the paper with reverence. It's beautiful, honey, thank you. The doorbell chimes and we both freeze momentarily. Old reflexes die hard. Then Ivy's face brightens. Is that Miss Barbara with the cookies she promised? Before I can answer, she races toward the door without checking for my permission first. Another victory, small steps toward normal childhood. Outside our window, rain transforms to mist, then breaks to reveal watery sunshine filtering through evergreens. In our tiny garden patch, the first green shoots of wildflowers we planted together push through damp soil, tenacious, persistent, alive. Just like us, and we're going to be even stronger in a year. The award sits on my mantle, catching afternoon sunlight. Community Service Excellence, Seattle Metro Health Alliance. 1 year since we left Texas. 1 year of rebuilding. Outside our kitchen window, spring blossoms crowd our garden patch. Ivy's laughter floats through the open window as she and her friend Zoe examine earthworms in the freshly turned soil. The sound still startles me sometimes, that uninhibited joy so absent during those weeks at my parents' house. Careful with Mr. Wiggles. Ivy's voice rises with excitement rather than fear. He needs to go back in the dirt so he can help our flowers grow. My phone buzzes against the counter. Unknown number with a Garland area code. My stomach tightens as I swipe to read the text. Saw your nonprofit in the Chronicle. Impressive work. Perhaps some misunderstandings occurred between us. Call when you can, Dad. The calculated timing sends warning bells clanging through my head. 3 separate contacts within 2 days after months of silence. First, the letter from my father with its carefully constructed non-apology. Then my mother's tearful voicemail about family healing and second chances, as if she were auditioning for a Hallmark movie. Now Jocelyn's email suggests Ivy must miss her cousins terribly. I place the phone face down and grip the edge of the counter until my knuckles blanch white. They've coordinated their approach, a tactical strike designed to breach our defenses. The kitchen timer dings. I pull out the muffins, Ivy's favorite blueberry, and arrange them on a cooling rack. Outside, she points proudly to the butterfly house we built last weekend. Zoe claps her hands. No performances, no rigid expectations, just childhood unfolding as it should. Dr. Brenner, Ivy's therapist, warned me this might happen. When financial manipulation fails, she'd said during our consultation last week, toxic family systems often pivot to emotional leverage. I pick up my phone and craft a single reply to all three of them. I'm pleased to hear you're interested in healing. I've attached information for 3 family therapists in the Dallas area who specialize in generational trauma and boundary work. When you've completed 6 months of consistent therapy, we can discuss supervised visits. Until then, please respect our space. I add the resources and hit send before I can second-guess myself. The reply came from my mother less than 3 minutes later. We don't need therapy, we need our family back together. Ivy's birthday is next week, we should be there. No question, no request, just the familiar presumption of entitlement. I don't respond. On Ivy's birthday, balloons bob against our porch ceiling. Pink, purple, yellow Ivy chose every color except blue. Blue makes me think of Grandma's house, she'd whispered in the party store. I didn't need to ask why. Our backyard hums with activity. 7 children dart between lawn games while parents chat over punch and sandwiches. Barbara from next door has brought her famous strawberry cake. My colleague Amanda helps Ivy arrange her art table for the friendship bracelet station. The doorbell rings. Through the peephole, I see them. My mother in her powder blue cardigan, pearl earrings catching the light. My father is standing rigid, shoulders squared like he's preparing for battle. Jocelyn hangs back with Madeline and Olivia, their matching dresses pristine. My chest constricts. I consider not answering, but several neighbors have already noticed them on our porch. I open the door just as my mother raises her hand to ring again. Surprise! She announces with manufactured brightness, thrusting a large gift bag forward. We couldn't miss our granddaughter's special day. Don't make a scene in front of everyone, she hisses through her frozen smile, eyes darting toward the gathering in our backyard. I take a slow, deep breath. You're welcome to join if you respect our boundaries, I say, voice steady. Ivy's comfort comes first today. My father steps forward, mouth opening to assert control in this space as he did in their home. But before he can speak, Ivy appears beside me. Hi, Grandma, she says, her voice small but clear. She looks up at my mother with steady eyes. I don't feel safe when you yell. My mother's face flushes crimson. I never yelled. You're imagining things. Barbara pauses by the gate, cupcake tray in hand. Amanda stops mid-sentence in her conversation. 3 other parents turn toward us, witnesses to my mother's defensive outburst. Why does Ivy have so many toys? Olivia asks, peering around my legs into the house where gift bags cluster on the coffee table. The simple question hangs in the air, revealing volumes. My mother's voice rises. This is ridiculous. We drove 7 hours to be here, after everything we've done for you, Nerissa. I think it's best if you leave, I say, my professional demeanor a stark contrast to her escalating emotion. Neighbors watch openly now as my father takes my mother's elbow. Jocelyn hustles the twins back toward their rental car. I'm a nurse. I tell my mother quietly as she turns to go. I heal people, but some relationships can't be saved. Ivy slips her small hand into mine as we watch them drive away. Her fingers are sticky with cake frosting, her grip fierce and certain. 2 years later, morning sunshine pools across our kitchen counter as Ivy measures flour with the concentration of a surgeon. Her tongue peeks from the corner of her mouth, a habit that appears whenever she focuses deeply. At 9, her hands move with a confidence that makes my chest swell. Is this enough? She holds up the measuring cup for inspection. Perfect. I brush a streak of flour from her cheek. You're becoming quite the baker. 2 years have transformed her. The trembling child at my parents' sink has blossomed into a girl who laughs without looking over her shoulder first. Her chestnut hair falls in natural waves instead of that severe ponytail my mother insisted upon. Today we're making banana bread together not as a chore, but as our Saturday morning ritual. Can Madison come over after soccer practice? Ivy asks, cracking an egg with practiced ease. Not a single shell falls into the bowl. Of course. I watch her hands, steady and certain. Her mom called yesterday to arrange it. Our garden blooms outside the kitchen window, a riot of cosmos and zinnias surrounding the stone path we laid together last summer. From a tiny rental with a postage stamp yard, we've moved to a modest craftsman with enough space for Ivy and Bloom to host weekend art sessions for children learning to trust again. The phone rings, but neither of us flinches anymore. Want me to get it? Ivy offers, wiping her hands on her apron, one she decorated with fabric paints spelling out Chef Ivy in wobbling letters. I've got it. I check the caller ID first, a habit I no longer apologize for. It's Amanda from work, confirming the mentorship program we're launching next month. 5 more nurses trained to recognize the silent signs of childhood emotional neglect. The program that started with just Ivy and me now serves 27 families across Seattle. After the call, I return to find Ivy pouring chocolate chips into the batter with abandon. That looks like more than the recipe calls for, I observe, fighting a smile. She grins, unrepentant. Grandma Hattie's letter said chocolate makes everything better. The mention of my grandmother comes without the shadow that once accompanied any family reference. Her letter arrived last month, the only relative who eventually understood. Too late to change what happened, but not too late to say I see you now. We sent Christmas cards to everyone again this year. None returned unopened this time, though only Grandma Hattie responded. Progress comes in whispers, not shouts. From the neighborhood grapevine, I know my parents still struggle. The modest Plano rental, Walter's second stroke. Jocelyn's twins are now in counseling for behavioral issues at school. But distance brings clarity. Those aren't my burdens to carry anymore. Later that afternoon, our backyard fills with laughter. Ivy's birthday celebration brims with genuine connections, children from her art therapy groups, neighbors who've become like family, colleagues who stood by me when Jocelyn created scenes at the hospital. No awkward silences, no performances of affection, just honest joy reflected in Ivy's wide smile. After everyone leaves and the sky darkens to indigo, I tuck Ivy into bed. Her room glows with fairy lights and art projects a space entirely her own. This was the best birthday ever, she mumbles, fighting sleep. Better than the pony rides last year? I smooth her blanket. Her eyes flutter. Mom, why do some families hurt each other? The question hangs between us, simpler from her lips than it has ever been in my mind. Sometimes people repeat what they learned, I say carefully, like an echo that keeps bouncing. They don't know how to stop the sound. She considers this, her fingers tracing patterns on her quilt. I'm glad we made better choices. Her wisdom stops my breath. I watch her drift to sleep, this child who teaches me more about courage than anyone ever has. Morning finds us in the garden again, planting autumn mums while summer's last butterflies dance between blooms. Ivy kneels beside her fairy garden, placing a tiny decorative door against a mossy rock. What's that for, I ask, watching her small fingers arrange pebbles around its frame. It's for the fairy house. She closes the miniature door with ceremonial gentleness. I'm keeping it shut so the bad fairies stay out. Sunlight catches in her hair as she works, her face peaceful with concentration. They taught her she was disposable. I showed her she was undeniable. I never locked the door on my family. I took the door off its hinges and rebuilt a new home where my child is never a servant, only a daughter.